Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check. This is episode 94, Dreamhacking the Stats. I'm Innes, and I'm joined by Jeremy, Anthony, and Nathan for this bumper. All the hosts are here on how unusual it is to see us all together. Definitely a sign of the apocalypse or new missions. I hope everybody's doing well today. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Let's get into it. Jeremy, Anthony, Nathan all have stuff to talk about. We're going to come to Anthony last because he had the most interesting weekend of the lot of us. Jeremy, how you been? Happy birthday.
Thanks. What do I have to talk about? I've been doing well. I was on last week, so I don't actually have that much to talk about. I went to an RTT last weekend, my buddy Charlie's place, and took T-Suns and had a really, really fun time doing horrible things to people. I went second into guard and won somehow.
That is unusual.
I was triple Medusa carriage and an Earthshaker carriage, and I just kind of went, oh no. But it turns out when you don't let them leave their zone after turn one, it's pretty good. So I'm doing pretty well. I'm really hyped to start talking about all of the new books and missions and all of this insanity that's going to happen for WTC next week.
I can't finish the episode. Yeah, I'm gonna just pencil out Wednesday morning next week so that I can stay up late and talk. I think that's gonna be a reasonable thing to do. Nathan, how about yourself? How you been? Won any Crusade Leagues recently?
No, they're starting the second Crusade League of the season at our local store with like the new Pariah Nexus book. That's all I know about what they're doing right now. Otherwise, things are pretty good here. What do you got?
I got very confused the other day. One of the Discords that I help out with, there was a rules question about the Pariah missions and how they worked. And I got, those aren't out yet. Oh no, they released the Pariah Nexus Crusade book several months ago. And now the Pariah Nexus matched play set is coming out in like 2.5 weeks.
Yep.
Thanks. Can we use something other than Pariah Nexus? This is like the 4th time it's been mentioned in the last like.
I'm pretty sure Pariah Nexus was like a Crusade book in 9th edition as well.
I'm pretty sure if they called the next one Nexus Pariah. Like, that's this book.
I recorded the first episode of Contact Lost's like WTC studio team stuff on Sunday, where I got to meet Danny Porter in person, basically, or on video for the first time because he's doing the studio stream with us this year, in place of Tomek and Nathan Roberts. Neither of whom will be attending this year, so we kind of talk about kind of what we are planning on doing and some improvements we're making after last year, and then we kind of wax philosophic about how who we think are the best teams and most likely to win this year. And then I make a ridiculous announcement that if somebody wants to bet me a national bird bet, that I will do it with them if they want to figure out a WTC national bird bet. And I've got 3 openings for bird tattoo bets, basically.
Nice.
And I won't even make you get the freedom chicken. I'll let you get a state bird instead so that you don't look totally ridiculous. I promise. So yes,
the golden eagle. I think that's too cool to have on you. I'm not down for that.
I mean, the state birds for Minnesota and Illinois are the loon and the robin, which are pretty reasonably good birds. The loon's a good bird in particular. So yeah, if somebody wants to make a WTC tattoo bet with me, Jeremy, I think one of us might just get a loon. Is basically what I hear.
Pretty much. I mean, come on, I'm Canadian.
That's weird.
We call again, and so the loon sounds too Canadian. It's like we have a loon on our main currency, which is why it's now called the loony.
Yep.
The problem for
one of us will get a loon is basically what's going to happen. Yes, just a tattoo of Anthony on a loon.
I think Anna should instead make a national animal bet.
People want to get a unicorn.
Oh, is that the national animal of Scotland? That's great.
It sure is.
Go figure. A fictional country gets a fictional animal.
According to most of the people posting on the Warhammer competitive page on Facebook, the UK shouldn't have this many teams because they're not real countries.
The UK doesn't have a single team. The UK should have a team as well. We should get 5. I think that's
true. A bunch of people were trying to convince me that Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales are countries on there. I don't know.
That's fine. At some point, one of them also said that Ireland is part of it as well.
Oh damn,
I
Ireland's
think
part
that
of
was
the
Danny in the
UK.
backstage for Goonhammer. I don't know if that counts.
No, someone else did. Danny was the second person today that I saw that said that. I went, oh, the wars have been started over less.
I was gonna say, like, I joke sometimes about these things on this podcast, but really, every time somebody goes into the Facebook comments and starts saying that, I'm like, guys, we don't need to be the second worst tourists anymore because England has claimed the worst tourists position from us, is what I've been told, based on the fact that multiple countries have tried to ban their like teenaged people from going to their cities.
Strong.
I didn't
That's
like
one
my
way.
Sorry, Anthony, go for it.
I was gonna say that's one way to keep Nas out of WTC, but carry on.
Nas should have to play for Algeria or France anyway, I think. So
That's
true.
true.
I think he'd be allowed to play for England.
But yeah, so we all said that the United States is like our favorite, essentially, aside from Poland, to win this year. All three hosts agreed, which was wild.
Wait, what happened? I totally missed what you just said. Maybe that was
we
my
all
lag.
picked Team USA as the favorite to win
Hey.
WTC this year.
Nice.
Which inevitably means that something terrible is going to happen because we all agreed on it. But I'm sorry. And we all said that Poland is like secretly lurking behind the bushes to punish somebody for their hubris.
I mean, it's us. We're somebody.
Yeah, it's that's
we
true.
have to work our ass off all the way through to event so that doesn't happen.
It's true. So yes, that was what we did. Yeah, Team USA is not even the favorite of Team USA.
Team USA
I don't
couldn't
know,
even
man.
beat Team USA at DreamHack.
Team USA did beat Team USA at DreamHack.
Yeah, other than that, I will be in Canada in like a couple weeks for Ottawa Teams, where I'm going to be doing the judge thing, alongside some other stuff that we'll announce later around July, I suppose. And then for contact law stuff, before I get too far off track, I think we're gonna be doing country interviews again this year. I think we're doing Mexico this week, depending on who reaches out to me, and then we're going to interview some of the other captains of new teams as well. So if you're a new team, watch your email boxes and watch for contact loss emails, because we'll be looking and forward to and trying to get interviews with as many of you as we can. So yeah, that's me. Innes, what did you get up to? And then Anthony will be last.
Yeah, I didn't do a ton. We did like a little practice day for a few of us. Other than that, I mostly just took Saturday off, did some painting, painted up a bunch of stuff for CSM, finished my Lord of Skulls. It's so pretty. Such a big boy. I love him.
Large.
He is a large man that does require a CP every time he wants to move.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's like, yeah, this guy can move, and you're just like kind of wink at your opponent. You're like, totally, yep. Expect this guy to come through a wall, and then he just kind of like toes into something and sees through it, and is like towering. That's all you got to do.
Good enough.
Can totally see. So yeah, that's been interesting. Been good fun playing some fun stuff. Obviously got the news that all of our practice is dead and none of it mattered, other than for improving his players, which obviously is still important. But yeah, good times. Good times.
This whole adventure has been just been you being Mario, getting into the castle and finding Toad and being like, your
missions are another castle.
Another castle.
Your met is in another castle. Your met is in another castle.
Yeah.
Oh man, that should have been the title of this week's show. Actually, your meta is in another
that can
castle.
be. We'll do that for the actual once like it's released.
Damn
the WTC met is in another castle.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a show name. Yeah, it's not a bad shout. So yeah, not a ton. Just bashing some games, playing a bunch, doing all the good stuff, trying to figure out what's good in CSM, what I like, what plays well, what matrices look like, and all that kind of thing. Yeah, just rolling forward. Nothing too special. Booked like a GT at the end of the month. That'll be about it. As I have like a GT the week before Pyra, so I can have one last go at playtesting before we commit to what we're probably taking to WTC. Terrifying. So yeah.
Yeah, WTC is in like fucking 8 weeks, dude.
It's 9 weeks today is the start.
Oh, sorry.
63 days. It's less than 63 days now. Yeah, this time right now I'll be 3-0 in the singles.
One can hope.
Yeah, and then I did a bunch of baking because baking is super fun. And that's it.
Yeah, I saw your pictures of baking and I was like, damn, Innes's skill level has increased quite rapidly on the baking front.
It's been going great. I'm enjoying it.
It's got a superpower and it's not learning slow.
It's not hyper focus.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony, tell us everything we need to know about DreamHack and DreamHack accessories.
all right, the first thing you need to know is that getting into Texas fucking sucks. Everyone that I know that went to this event, it was a goddamn nightmare disaster. So
It's great news for Champions Cup.
I'm just gonna cross my fingers and hope that it's better in the fall than it was in the summer.
We're bringing typhus to that, right? Like we're so.
It's gonna be fine.
There'll be far fewer rolling brownouts and infrastructure problems when not everybody's trying to use their air conditioning at the same time.
Yeah. So anyway, we were in the airport. I'm sitting talking to Sean. We're like about to get up to go to our gate. He gets up to go to the bathroom real quick, comes back and is like, our gate says a different flight. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. And as I say good, our phones get a text message that says our flight has been canceled. So we, walk our ass over to the service desk. And they're like, there are no flights to Dallas. And I'm like, well, we can either go tonight somewhere in Texas or not at all. And Art of War and Team USA can fucking fusion dance into a team. And that'll be how it goes. Because at that point, like, Kazra and McDougal were stuck in Seattle. Like, it was a mess. There was a bunch of people stuck in a bunch of places. So I messaged Vyasar and I'm like, hey, what's a good town or a good city in Texas for us to fly to? And he's like, well, Houston's pretty close. And I was like, can you get us from Houston? He was like, yeah. Doesn't give me any context on this, by the way, which will be important in a second. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, he jumped right in. Can't be that far apart. Didn't look it up. We told the lady at the desk, Houston. And we were like, all right, sick. Off you trot. We had a flight like
Anthony.
2 hours
no. Texas is big.
Yeah, Texas is big.
I just Googled that.
So we yeah, so Vyasar, who is the one that was meant to come get us, I learned an important thing about him as one of our coaches, which is that Vyasar will just dive on suffering immediately with no context and not tell you how awful it's going to be for him. So you have to clarify for his sake, like, hey, is there a better way for us to do this? So, like, a couple minutes later, Lennon messages in the same chat and was like, surely you guys are going to rent a car. And I was like, I don't know. Vyasar just said he would come get us. What do you mean? And he was like, oh, no, it's 3.5 hours each way. It's going to be a lot of driving for me. And I was like, why did you not tell us to just get a car first? It was crazy. Anyway, so we fly into Houston. We rent a car. We took a 3.5-hour ride to Dallas. And instead of landing nicely in Dallas at 6:30 p.m. with a bunch of time to do stuff and hang out and check out the hall, we instead get to our Airbnb at 1 a.m. It did include a stop at a fairly sketchy Whataburger, but the food was good, so that was cool. I don't think there was anything else about the travel besides that being like pretty scuffed. Oh, the United Club thing, if you have status with them, has really good mac and cheese at the Newark airport, in case that really specific niche piece of information is relevant to anyone. But keep that in mind.
I'm filing that away for later, and I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, the United Club food or whatever, if you have status enough with them to get into there, is fucking dope. You get a bunch of free food, a bunch of free drinks, you get snacks that you can take on the plane. It's dope. Anyway, yeah. So that was that. DreamHack itself was really cool. The giant spectacle of the event was pretty sweet. We were like soft stepchildren. So we got put in the same hall as like Magic the Gathering, which was cool because there was a bunch of people in the hall for that. But it definitely was not the like insanity that the like main hall was, right? I have never watched video games played in person outside of like a really couple niche specific things, but there was a ton of people in these halls and those rounds were hype as shit for those people that were there in person. So that was cool. As far as like our exhibition event, that was fine. It was like a little weird in terms of like, we're like playing on a clock, but not really. And we're like, trying, but not really. I don't know. It was weird. Like it hit all the wrong parts of like, not all the wrong parts of 40K, but it was just like kind of weird. It's a weird way to interact with the game, right? It felt like when you go to play a casual game at your local store, but you didn't talk to the person first about what your expectations were. That's what the game kind of felt like. And it was like, we're all like experienced tournament players. So it was like, again, it was pretty chill. But it was just like kind of weird. I don't know. It's a strange setup. I would almost rather that they were just like, this is a 4-person tournament. And they just like sent us off. That probably would have been like better. I don't know. Weird setup. Yeah, aside from that, things are pretty cool. I got to play Nick playing demons, which was fucking funny. And then that army is still bad, folks. Don't get captured.
How did Nick do on the weekend? Actually didn't catch
He
that.
actually won both of his other games, but don't get scammed. That army's not good. So Nick Notavati might be good at Warhammer. I'm not convinced on demons yet. The other two games I played were great. It was like my Valhalla. I got to play Orcs twice in a row. So that was super cool. I got to play against the Tide and the Index. The Index still has some legs, but it feels very dated, I think is the right word for it. It it plays Warhammer just fine is how I would describe it. Like it, gets in there and it has one turn of Wa and it doesn't do much. I don't know. The guaranteed fight on death was cool. It's a weird detachment, man. Like I understand why people are hype on it still, because it definitely like does orc shit. But I feel like going from 2 Was to 1 Wa is like a giant difference. And maybe I'm biased as a melee man with a big go turn, but like if we brawl for a turn and then after that turn your army's like, oh, I'm an invulnerable save anymore, and every successful wound just ends my life. I feel like that's a lot easier to play into. But I don't know. There was some cute shit there with like the giant ridiculous. This was my first time playing against like a giant ridiculous Squig Hog unit that the new book allows. That shit was pretty funny. Like the full 8-man led by a beast boss. That was a fair amount of wounds. It dies all the same, but it takes a minute.
It is a lot of chunk, but it's also a lot of points.
It does nothing on the way through either. Like it just stands there and gets wailed on the entire time, killing nothing.
It depends. Like it definitely,
it kills marine bodies pretty well.
It kills some 8-bound, like just fine. It kills vehicle monster sized things, okay. Like
I watched 3 exotic 8-bound tank its combat for a turn once. I was like not impressed.
That shouldn't happen. That's just
No.
I
like
didn't
not
feel like
math.
it should have either, but it did. And I was like, how is that still move locked? I just like walked over, came back like 30 minutes later, it's still there. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like the odds of that are not good. We play Warhammer, so anything can happen, but like, unlikely.
Yeah, some world players are God's gift to a feel no pain, Anthony, aren't they?
I don't know anything about that. So I definitely had an opponent like look down and just be like, what? A couple of times, and that was pretty funny. Just rolling good remains OP in this game, it turns out.
I love it.
I don't know what to tell you. I would say I'm sorry, but I'd be lying. I don't think I have any other major things. Like it was fun, like the part of the initiative that we've had this year that's been really cool is that a lot of people that are like in the greater part of Team USA, but not necessarily in the starting roster, have gotten to do an event, like wearing the jersey, playing for the team, and that's been really cool. So between like Pyra and this and a couple other things, that's been pretty sweet. So it's just like another in the line of that kind of event, and getting to do that with the boys was cool. But yeah, that was pretty much it. It was fun. It was well ran for the most part. Some people like not electing not to use clocks meant that some people didn't get to eat. I'm convinced Lennon just hates lunch, like period. Like he just doesn't like the meal.
I don't remember reading it at Eurotrash. So
I don't think he eats lunch. I think just Lennon just like wakes up in the morning and has like a decent breakfast. Like it gets to like lunch and he just like walks up to a sandwich and flips it off and then like carries on with the rest of his day. I don't know like what his day eat for lunch is. But yeah, so like nothing too crazy. The hall was cool. There was a bunch of like the artists that do art for MTG cards there. That shit was pretty cool. They were like selling prints and shit, so that was pretty sweet. Yeah, that was pretty much it. DreamHack was really cool. There was a lot of like stuff going on at the like in-person side. It was also just like in a different hall, so it wasn't like I don't know, feel like super included in it. But yeah, it was cool. Oh, also getting back, we got stuck on the tarmac for 2 hours before we took off, so I landed at half midnight instead of 9. So
I'm really sorry that somehow I've just given the travel curse to everyone else now.
I think at this point I'm just really, really worried about Champs Cup because of the luck that I had and everyone else had this weekend.
I mean, like between us, I've been scammed like twice going to the US. Jeremy, you've been scammed. Anthony's been scammed. Nathan's been scammed. Typhus has been scammed.
I
Brian
can
gets
say-
scammed constantly.
This year, I decided not to fly the budget airline to Ottawa just so I didn't get scammed again.
I can say confidently that it would have been easier if my flight down to Dallas, like scheduled at the same time and all that stuff, would have been easier going to like most of the European trips that I've done that aren't Vienna,
I guess that's what happens when you travel to a developing country.
I guess. I don't think Austria is like a developing country, and
Texas?
that one's the
He's talking
hardest to
about
get to.
Texas.
He's
Yeah, I know.
making a joke about Texas.
I understand. Yes.
Texas wishes it was a country, although seeing how their infrastructure handles any amount of stress whatsoever, we probably don't want that.
I was gonna say it doesn't really hold up to that pretty good, does it?
It does
Yeah,
not.
so we're all
They
planning
have-
on getting to Champs Cup like 2 days before, right? Just in case.
I've already booked my flight for the day before. Let's go.
I'll have to do that soon. I don't want to, but I have to.
It's gonna be
All right.
interesting. Yeah, if we get
Let's
all 8
min-
players there, I'll be very impressed. That's all I'll say.
It's gonna be
All right,
fine.
hey, Texas jokes have been outlawed. No, we can make as many jokes as we want about Texas if it's specifically about Texas's own political and infrastructural problems.
The technical rules, we outlawed other people making jokes in the Discord about places related to 40k. We didn't outlaw ourselves doing it. That's not how that works. We
Lead
have
by
you guys
example,
have no
Ennis.
power over us. In the Discord, sure, but on the show, no.
I mean, I feel quite empowered to make as many political comments about the shitty situation in Texas as possible because their independent power grid is a horrible disaster. Neither here nor there. We'll talk
I'm
about it
not
later.
making any
though.
judgments on politics until after the 4th of July, so
Why waiting until after the 4th of July?
that's when our general election is.
Oh, I was like, what the
Yeah,
fuck's
no,
going
no.
on?
This year is the like for this cast the perfect storm, and we'll stop politics as soon as after I've finished this sentence. Is the perfect storm
No,
of
we
elections because you guys have one, we have one, and he has one.
Jeremy, nobody knows what goes on in your elections.
Yeah, no one knows what's going on in your election either, aside from Rishi
That's a
Sunak
lie.
apparently
Everybody
wants
knows
to.
what Boris
India's is
Johnson
ongoing
in
right
parachutes and
now.
stuff. It's terrifying.
Like
And
India's currently
something about
counting their
mandatory
votes.
service.
Oh man,
Yeah, mandatory.
service.
That would be interesting and chaotic. I really enjoy the idea of them telling the Northern Irish that they have to join the British Army for a year. It's going to go down great.
Well, they're unionists, right?
I'm sure everybody involved
dude,
in that
I'm sure.
situation will be perfectly happy with being put into the British. Into the
Let's
British
move on
Army.
to the
It'll be
stats before
fine.
somebody gets chigged.
All right, we're going to talk about this last weekend's stats, and then we're going to talk about some combination of stats together. And then I'll make a pithy comment about 38 guilty verdicts or something. I don't know.
It was 34, wasn't it?
I know it was 34, but
Yeah, Google rule
This
34 Trump to find out how many rules he broke.
At least a couple more. We've got more in us. I don't care. All right. Gray Knights are the best performing faction of the weekend. And 5.8% meta representation and a 60% win rate. They did win an event. They got 7 top 4s and 12 top 10s for a 2.15 over rep. Barely supplanting Space Wolves by win rate. There's a lot more Grey Knights players this weekend than I actually anticipated, but Grey Knights apparently still good as long as you just keep doing the same thing that they have been doing, which is just maximizing hulls as much as possible, it seems. I don't know. Space Wolves are second, 3.3% of the meta, a 58.2% win rate. No event wins this week, so nobody really got totally put into wolf jail. 2 top 4s, 8 top 10s, and a 1.09 for overrep. Black Templars are in third place. So, man, this is a lot of Imperial factions in the top 5 here today for win rate. Black Templars are third, 57.6% win rate. 0 event wins, 1 top 4, 6 top 10s for a 0.60, just because they didn't really podium as well as they could have. Imperial Knights are in fourth. What happened this weekend? 2.6% of the meta, 55.2% win rate. No event wins, no top 4s, 1 top 10, and a 0 for overrep because I didn't get any top 4s. Finally, Thousand Suns are the 5th best faction of the weekend with a 4.8% meta representation, 54.1% win rate. Still no event wins, 4 top 4s, 6 top 10s, and a 1.48 for overrep. Orcs are the next best faction up. 8.7% of the meta, which is turning them into a Custodes / Tau type problem post LVO, or just a Custodes style problem. 53.4% win rate, 4 event wins, which is the most of any faction for the weekend, 8 top 4s, 18 top 10s, and a 1.65 for overrep. I was looking at it recently when I was looking at the altogether stats for this most recent meta, and Bully Boys by themselves have more GT wins than any other faction currently in the game because they have 6. It's more than that. It's like 9. It's 9. They have 9 of the event wins, which is more than any other faction by itself. Custodes are right under them, 2.7% of the meta and a 52.9% win rate. 1 top 4, 3 top 10s, and a 0.66 for overrep. They continue to drop a bit in overrep, but it seems like maybe Custodes are starting to bounce back a little bit, or maybe not.
People are just
I don't
learning that
know.
they should stop playing detachments that aren't talons and just be cool with not having
Yeah.
army rules and just have a reactive move and you'll be fine.
I think that's essentially what it is. Death Watch for the worst performing faction of the weekend.
But they're
With
not a
3
faction,
players.
so does it count?
They have 3 players. That's all that's left of them.
Godspeed in the agent's book, guys.
21.4% win rate. I'm sorry. You might actually do better Imperial Agents. I think Imperial
Agents have a
by
higher
themselves
win
is
rate than that.
Yes.
Yeah, no one's played them this meta, but they typically hover around a 50% win rate because it tends to be Sea Bishop that plays them, and he is hilarious.
Yes. We met him at Birmingham ITT. He is my hero.
He is. I've run into him before because, or not like physically, but online, because he was in the BCP Discord asking why he couldn't select because they had accidentally removed Imperial Agents as a category, despite them having an index, so they should be selectable. And he went, how do I do this? And I just replied, I was like, don't worry, StatCheck has you covered. We'll at least make sure that you're recognized as Imperial Agents.
Yeah, I remember Warmer Meta Chasers, Adam Camilleri and Paul Murphy and Dustin Henschel's podcast was complaining about it because they had to add him to the graphic, which made all the text smaller. They had to like manually shrink it all. It was quite funny.
Too funny.
It's the bottom 5 real factions. Tyranids is actually the worst performing faction with more than 10 players. 4.8% of the meta, a 38.5% win rate, but some superb person managed to win an event, which is also their top 4 and one of their 2 top 10s for a 0.37 overrep. Dark Angels have moved up in the world slightly by not being the worst faction above 10 players. 1.7% of the meta, 39.2% win rate. Just 1 top 10 for them, though, for a 0 for overrep. Genestealer Cults, probably looking forward to getting the new book. 2.1% of the meta, a 41.4% win rate. 1 top 4, which is also their top 10 for a 0.84, just because of such low meta representation. Blood Angels, 3.4% of the meta, a 45.4% win rate. So despite being the strongest Marine faction, supposedly, according to all of us at least, they cannot figure their shit out.
Well,
1 top 4, 3
Please.
top 10s, and a 0.52. And then rounding out the bottom 5 is Eldari. 42 players, 6% of the meta, a 45.5% win rate, winning a GT, 3 top 4s, and 5 top 10s for a 0.90. So perfectly balanced and within the window. Other GT
clearly terrible.
Other GT winners from the weekend are Astra Militarum. Space Marines won an event. That's Codex Space Marines, 2 Chaos Space Marines, and then a Tau player. The Tau player won also with what most people consider to be like the worst detachment in that book, which is the Reaction Cadre or whatever it's called. Retaliation Cadre.
Good man.
So yeah, good job, bud. You did it good.
I mean, like, it's still a fine detachment. It's the worst of the 4, but it doesn't mean it's bad, right? Like, it's still an okay detachment.
Right.
It's
and then I guess
jumping back.
Having watched Kyle play that detachment, I think running back is just fine. It is perfectly reasonable. It does a decent job.
And since the slate has
root-shaped carver or root-carved weapons guy just constantly coming back and fucking up your characters is goddamn hilarious. I love that dude.
That is true.
So at this point in the meta,
in 3 turns, glorious.
So at this point in the meta, for overrep purposes, as our ranking system for right now, Space Wolves are still the number 1 faction going back to May 5th with a 1.9 for overrep. They've got 4 GT wins and a 59.6% win rate. Orcs are next up, 13 GT wins, which is a lot. That's more than, it's only slightly less than the 3 top faction, like the next 3 factions below them, almost more than all 3 of them, but that's 15. 13. So orcs might be a little too good. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
Ben, can you comment on that in the chat while you're here? Orcs good, orcs bad.
Strangely enough, by Overrep, Drukhari is next. They're in 3rd place with a 1.6. Probably because they only have a 2.2% meta representation, but we'll look at that later. We'll just remove Skari from that. I keep threatening to do that, but I haven't done it yet. Thousand Suns, and then Grey Knights at 1.58 and 1.48, respectively. Worst performing faction by Overrep is Leagues of Votann, who are at 0.27 across the census slate. Because I'm just going to ignore Death Watch, who only have 12 players.
We can talk about Jaeger this week as well. We haven't spoken about them yet.
Oh yeah, we can talk about them. We can talk about kill team models. It's great. I love that.
More the rules than that, but you know.
Fair.
They have rules in 40K. It's pretty awesome. They don't have points.
Out what the points are.
Yeah, I keep looking at that and going, MFM update? Just put the one line in, please. Are they 150 points? Are they 110 points?
Clearly, they're free.
212.
I see that we've taken the Karen grocery store logic of it doesn't have a price, so clearly it's free.
No,
like that in the grocery store. Yeah.
It's only if the sticker price is wrong that you get it free.
Oh, is that the rule?
Up to a value of $10.
That is not the law here.
There's no law here, but that's the tradition that most stores will do.
Ours is, I'm pretty sure our for the store that I used to work at, it was you got it free and a refund of the price. So if it was like 35 pound and they charge you 45, you'd get your 45 back and they'd give you 45 quid. That was the rule.
That is impressively punishing, and I love it.
Yes, consumer rights. Let's go.
Yeah, Ben, bring your own stickers.
All right, that's it for stats. Really,
I mean, points.
Things haven't really changed very much since we talked about the last 4 weeks. Last week, orcs are still basically the top dog effectively by placings and wins, although they also have to compete with the other top dog of Space Wolves. Oh no, why do I have to do this?
I just checked. In the last 6 weeks combined, Space Wolves have consistently, like this week there was a slight dip, but they're still on average the most winning faction. They're just not winning events. They won some, but
Space Wolves.
Congratulations,
are the best.
Space Wolves players! You are now officially Genestealer Cult. You have replaced Genestealer Cult as the Genestealer Cultiest faction.
People did very much appreciate the guide on what Wolf Jail is and how you get stuck in it and how you get out of it. My round 1 opponent at my RTT on Saturday did not appreciate that I knew exactly how to get out of Wolf Jail, which was, these cultists go right here, and I sit well back from them and just smite you. He also had 2 Vindicators in his list that I did a magic trick with turn 1. They just disappeared.
You did a magic trick?
I did. I turned off his armor, and then he went, and then he was no longer there.
I hope there's Legends Thousand Suns.
Just the whole codex. Bye.
All of it.
They should just make them a CSM sub-faction again.
Yeah, just roll them back in. Give them the Harlequins, dude. Just fucking...
Oh, we could do the same with War Leaders and Death Guard if you want. Just 1 Chaos Space Marines.
Dude, I'm down. As USA's spiky 1 trick, that's fine. But God, I hate to, why?
The problem, of course, is what if the new book isn't allowed at the WTC?
Which one?
Then we just don't allow Thousand Suns at all because they won't have any points.
Make a reference to 2022 when Anthony had the CSM in, CSM out dilemma.
That would have been fine if we were managed like a reasonable team instead of a collection of the people that could afford to go to Europe and pretending to be a team. Anyway.
All right. We wanted to talk about
in general. Right? Shall we start with the one I just spoke about? Jeremy, as the resident Votann, how do Jaeger look? I think they look kind of cool. It's a cool
I like them a lot. So anyone who hasn't seen the Jaeger, they're the new kill team that's coming out alongside the Brood Brothers or whatever it is. They're some lame guard
no
sculpt.
Longer playable Brood Brothers just got removed from the GSC.
But they're still playable, but only in 1 detachment. You're fine. Anyway, so
announces a nerf. It's great.
Yeah. So what you get out of it is you get 10 Jaeger, They are super cool looking Votan guys in trench coats with either shotguns or plasma knives. The shotguns are kind of cool. They're assault, so advance and scan and whatnot. But the more interesting thing is the knives are 2 attacks at 4-2-1, which if you're playing Votan, you have access to +1 to hit, +1 to wound almost all the time. You also have a 1 CP strat for +1 AP for every token unit has. So they can be AP4 on when you really need to kill something. But all that aside, the most important thing is this unit has infiltrators, which means that you can forward deploy them and you can finally deal with the biggest problem, which was someone put a unit of Nurglings in front of you and go, oh, so my entire army that has scouts just kind of redeploys along the line. Great.
The existential crisis of one unit of Nurglings causing a Votan army to just not have rules was fantastic.
Yep. Whereas now, you at least have the roll-off to see if you get to place your Jaegers first.
50-50. Yeah, I think they
look cool. I think they're fun. The models look gorgeous.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's been a miss in the Votan range as of yet in terms of model looking nice.
Debatable on the land for it. Take it or leave it. But
look, they're stumpy lads. They need something big to ride around in.
What kind of points value do you think we'd be looking at for these guys to be playable? What would you be thinking?
So Warriors actually, right now are...
That's a bad question. Votan are not doing great right now. Is this unit good enough, in theory, to put them back to a better place in the meta? And what kind of points value would you be looking at if they were going to do that?
That's a good question, actually. So right now, Votan are doing fine. They've won an event. They have a 48% win rate. Their overrep is kind of but their
play rate's kind of dire as well, right? Their play rate's pretty low as well, right?
Oh yeah, their play rate is 3%. It's higher than Drukhari's.
3 to 4 is pretty average.
Yeah, if you split the factions across everything, it should average about 4%, but Marines always skews that. So it's usually between 3 and 4. Yeah, so Votan, I think that if they're 120 points or less, they're 10 of them, like a single unit of 10, or an auto include in every single Votan list. If they're 130, it starts to be a little troublesome. At 140, I don't think you even consider them existing. It, of course, depends on what else you can fit in your list. Votan points are really annoying because they do have such a shallow dex, where it's kind of like, well, you can't necessarily grab, poor Pickles.
That wasn't me.
That wasn't you? Oh, that was on Nathan's side?
That was my cat. She's over there. She's making noises.
Yeah, I think at 120 or less, they'd be very playable. If they end up being the same price as Warriors, which is 100, then that'd be absolutely wild.
Yeah. Can they be split by Sagittars? That's Warriors only, right?
It's only Warriors, unfortunately. Trust me, I wish I could split my Berserks. I would run 6 Sagittars full of Berserks, and it'd be so much fun.
Yes, I'm glad that's not a thing we have.
Anthony would probably like that.
I don't know. I'm hard pressed to like Votan.
Come on, it's six little transports full with angry dudes that have hammers.
What's not to like about that? I should have liked them, but alas, I never did.
Fair enough.
There definitely is a niche that just infiltrators fill no matter what, right? Just
yeah, and it's one of these things where every army that has them tends to use them in some respect.
Yeah, I think it's wildly unhealthy that Votan got this for what it's worth.
Why?
Tell us why.
Because no army can alpha strike the way Votan can. I say that as an eater. I balk at their ability to deliver damage T1 comparatively without getting hit back a lot of the time if you're a smoking ruin. And the fact that there was a stopgap for that, and now there isn't 50% of the time, and frankly, basically 0% of the time, because on almost no deployment does anyone play an infiltrating unit big enough to stop them from getting a scout on one of the sides. I think it's bad. I think this was a mistake.
No, Ennis, you cannot put people in cultist jail.
I certainly have been.
It's just regular
people
jail,
or Maddie.
Person jail.
Not Maddie. I'm not putting his Maddie with it.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine.
I don't hate Maddie enough to do that.
Fair. But yeah, I think it's a bad idea.
I think that's actually a not invalid take. I think that actually has a fair amount of like you're mostly correct on that.
Yeah, like someone's
the
gonna
army
go
does
second against like 6 SAG 18 bikes with a unit of these shitheads that deployed in the middle and stopped the counter to that and just die and be like, what was I supposed to do? And then like a content creator is gonna be like, you should have played your mission behind wall. And then they're gonna feel bad because they thought there was a thing they could do about getting shot to death in their deployment zone.
Hey, why did you not just win the roll off, dude? Skill issue.
Even if you win the roll off, that's what I'm saying. Like that's the
no,
problem.
just go
with this, right?
first.
You just have to put a 10 man of infiltrators in every single list you play now.
Oh God.
What are we doing?
Yeah, let's start, all chaos lists just need to start with a 9 man of Nurglings now.
Just 1 9 men and Nurglings. It's fine.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think it's bad. I think it's and I think it's bad mostly because it's not like it doesn't make the army better in a way that I imagine like Votan players are going to be like, oh dude, sick about like that's not the class fit, like that's not like the sorry, I used that term from WoW there. That's not like the army like design flavor or whatever that you're looking for. Man, class fantasy is such a better word for this.
Not the faction's design identity.
Yeah, there you go. That'll do. Like I don't think at like all basically. No one's like, dude, I want to play dwarves so I can go fast and alpha strike. It's like, what the fuck is this? What do you mean?
I don't know. If you've got total Warhammer Fantasy battle players, all they wanted to do was shoot you turn one with cannons. That sounds exactly like what they're doing now.
Yeah, but there was no terrain back then, right? Like I don't know. They're not even shooting you with
still no terrain in that game.
Both hands have no terrain now. That's their fact identity.
They're shooting you with cars, not cannons. But yeah, I don't know. Like I just as someone that has a bunch of scout mechanics and broadly isn't always like super jazzed about having to use those. Like I at least don't have any guns. So if I didn't have scout mechanics, you would just deploy on the line and be very disrespectful. I can tell you because for a while I tried not running it and that was what happened and it was really sad. I don't know. It just seems like a bad space to be like, it's just like at its like core level a bad idea, right? It might work out. It might be fine. It might not be that big of a deal, but I think what it invites is very unhealthy.
I look forward to seeing you with 18 bikes and 6 Sagittars at WTC, Anthony.
It's not going to be me. I have a well-defined role at this point. Like, it ain't me. Might be Eric. Who knows?
Brian loves Zoltan.
Brian loves winning.
It's true. Give Brian the strongest shit
England
and point him in that direction.
Yeah, he did do that. That's true.
Seeing him want to talk Captain Josh Roberts on Team England was a very interesting thing to see after hearing Vic and Nas whispering in his ears for 3 months. Anyway, shall we move on? Let's do Sisters Codex first because it doesn't hurt me so much. Jeremy, what have we seen for Sisters? What looks cool?
We've seen the jump canoness and the sacristant, I think, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's all we've seen. We haven't even seen what she does.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything for her yet.
So we, and the other one is the Black Library model, so she's going to have legend rules at best. However, there are some really cool proposed conversions that people have come up with her to make the jump canoness out of her. So I might actually end up doing that. And the jump canoness looks really nice, and that's all we know. And I mean, she'll be able, I imagine, lead Zephyrim and Seraphim. What she does.
I do think that sacristant model for Black Library is rad as hell with the flamer sword.
Oh, it's so nice.
I'm definitely buying at least 2 of them. One to convert into a canoness, like with wings, and one to just be a canoness on foot because the model is rad as hell.
You know what you could use her for? You could use her for a Triumph of St. Catherine conversion.
Ooh, she's big enough that she could probably,
because that's one of the biggest challenges that like the Triumph model is nice, but you know everyone has the same one because it's kind of hard to convert something that looks like that. But I think she could actually look really nice if you were to do it like a instead of like the procession, kind of hobby it up so that you have her in the middle and then have the 6 canonesses that are escorting her be posed such that they're like guarding her from an advancing force that, you know, like there's a swarm coming in on them.
That's a good idea. I like that. It's also a good use for the 50 extra canonesses you inevitably get collecting Sisters armies.
Also very true.
I have like 5 canonesses like sitting on top of my painting thing that I've assembled. And I'm like, I don't need these for anything, but I definitely do have 5 of them.
Every single box has a canoness, it seems. It's like the Dominus for the Tech Priest Dominus for Admech. You're welcome for that idea, Willow.
Oh man, that's such a better idea than. Go ahead, Anthony. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, Sisters was one of those armies that I'm always like close, but haven't yet.
So what
You
you're
just wait for
saying
that
is
Bloody
that
Rose
if we
attachment,
get
right?
like Bloody Rose back, where you get to move fast and punch.
No, I mean, like, Teams saves me from this being a problem, right? Like, I don't own much of Blood Angels because of Teams, and I'm certainly not buying the Sisters before I fill out
I didn't say
Blood
anything
Angels.
about buying. I'm saying that you might find a package at your door one day.
Yeah, I mean, that would just cost me money, right? Also, sending it to me is a waste of time. Just send it to Kazra.
That's true. That we don't have to take customs. So yes,
Yeah.
I'll go talk to Kazra.
And I've been really jazzed painting that army. It's been a lot of fun. It's the most fun I've had painting white armor as well on those models because it takes to it really nicely.
There is a recent, like, hype image for the Elden Ring DLC that's coming up that I think would be a sick, like, color scheme for Blood Angels or something in that vein. That would work really well. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I'm like always down for more painting inspiration for this faction at this point as well.
Ah, there it is. Let's see if I can pull it from here. I mean, keep talking about things. I'm
I don't
just
know if Anthony has
muttering to
permission
myself.
to share images on this.
But also,
I'll
I'm
just send
really.
it to you.
Oh, you sent it to me. Like,
But also,
no,
if
I
some
have-
WTC person has a Sisters army they want to lend me for War Masters because that's what I've been playing like nonstop, that'd be cool.
So, I mean, this is no secret.
There it is.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
That as a color scheme for either like Angels or Sisters or whatever you want would be fucking mint. I intend to
Oh, that
use
is rad. That's actually very close to the Sacred Rose color scheme.
No.
The armor is just white, but the white cloth is kind of the replacement. That's really cool, though.
Yeah, the white cloth with the gold accents. Wow.
Mhm.
Shit's
I love
sick.
it. That's great.
That poor
Right.
character is going to die so hard in the DLC so I could have their armor. Unlucky lady. Shouldn't have had good grip. Idiot.
Shouldn't have such cool armor.
Fool.
All right. Do we want to talk about these slightly more information?
Yeah, we talk about how the first thing they previewed for GSC was the army getting nerfed. Like, what the fuck are these? What are these previews? Why was the first thing they're like, hey, but you know that Brood Brothers mechanic that you had in the index that was like kind of cool and like vaguely playable? What if instead of having that, you just didn't unless you played this shit detachment?
I mean, it follows with their we don't like soup and we're doing away with soup more and more. So here's a specific detachment where you can soup and nowhere else.
It's so weird though, man.
I-
To just be like, hey, we're gonna try and hype up this book. It's worse now. Is bizarre to me.
Well, what was the book recently where they did exactly that as well? It was CSM, right?
GSM, they were like, hey, by the way, pacts suck now.
Yeah, so it's like
Chill out.
Are awkward now.
yeah, packs are awkward. Packs are still amazing. Sustain lethal on demand is pretty fucking good.
I actually like almost never packed with Talons, by the way.
Fair
It's
enough.
like most of the time it's not worth losing the 4 attacks if someone
Yeah.
goes down.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Every time my predator
guess-
smites itself, I hate myself. It's just true.
Oh, I don't care about that at all. My vehicle's packed on Overwatch. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. Whatever.
So to clarify for people, today they previewed the Brood Brothers exclusive detachment. So you're not allowed to take Brood Brothers in any other shape or form outside of this detachment. But you can take twice as many Brood Brothers in this detachment than you could previously. So you can take up to 1,000 points of Brood Brothers or something like that now.
Just play guard,
Is
bro.
that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Well,
It is
currently you can
definitely
take
guard
500
with
if
extra strap.
If they've said twice, then that's what it is.
Yeah, so that it's
yeah.
definitely
Basically, if your guard stuff shoots things, your GSC stuff gets +1 to shoot it if they shoot it afterwards, which is a really, really weird version of Crossfire from the old book. But
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting, I guess.
It's cool, but also the guard unit has to be within 18 of the unit that you're shooting at. So you can't even be like, I've got a basilisk back here that's just going to mark stuff for the rest of my GSE army. No, I'm going to just be real close.
Yeah, you got to get those rough
triple
riders
tank
pistols
commanders
range.
with that seems fine.
Without orders, though, tank commanders aren't that inspiring.
They got shoot on
I
death
mean-
still. That's probably better than the other Lehman Russ rules. I guess what's the cost difference between like a Lehman Russ Demolisher and a Lehman Russ
They're like
tank commander?
pretty, like 50 points.
Is it really that much?
They're pretty expensive.
I'm pretty sure like the base, like the cheapest Demon Rush is like 145.
No. I'm
The
talking like the
tank
Demolisher because that's all you're ever going to take.
I mean, the Exterminator and the regular Demon Rush are pretty popular right now. But
Demolisher's 200.
Mostly because the base one is full rerolls to hit when somebody's on an
yeah,
objective.
and then the
Yeah.
Exterminator gives +1 AP for anything that shoots against the target for the rest of the turn.
Now, is that
Is that
only
Astromilitar
applies?
unlocked, though?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Astromilitar unlocked, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't
friendly
think this
obstacle sound.
detachment. The detachment's not very good, and a bunch of people are now arguing about how the shoot into combat thing works, which is very hilarious to me.
If it doesn't work properly, it'll get FAQ. They've been very good about that this edition. I will say, though, they do have...
That technically gives you indirect if you read it squintly.
Yeah, and fall back and shoot and all those random things. No, stop it.
It's like the monolith that lets you, like, you can teleport through it, and then even if you fire invaded, you can still charge, but it's still just not playable.
So that one actually was never fixed.
I know it's not, but nobody does it because it's not a good thing to do.
It's also 2 CP. I guess successful losses also is. No, the thing I want to highlight is that Genestealer Cults now have the coolest name stratagem that they have no right to have, it being that cool. It's called In the Shadow of Iron. And the effect of it looks pretty cool. Someone tries to get one of your blips and you say 1 CP, no, it's now in the shadow of that Lehman Russ over there. Good luck getting it to it.
It's pretty dope. It's I don't know. What's your favorite 40k rule name that you've ever read?
Wasn't there one that was like On Wings of Fire or something like that?
Yeah,
that one's pretty rad.
It's all the Blood Angel ones from 8th and 9th.
Usually
They're
is the
all
Blood Angel
sick.
ones.
They're all dope.
On Wings of Fire is just rad. That's like a metal song, just in cap, like metal song title type thing.
I'll stand by the 7th edition Atropos, Night Atropos. Its rule for reroll hits against Titanic units was macro extinction targeting protocols. Yes. And I fucking adore that. It's like its name's been shortened like 3 times now. It's now like, just shortened that, but the full version, 7th edition, perfect for me. Godstrike Parent Teleportarium for the Custodian's Deep Strike rule was also pretty solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, GSC, I don't know. It seems like an interesting book. I don't know. I made a stupid little fucking thing today about like all the things that happens every time GSC get a book, which is that everything gets nerfed and it's still insane for no reason because of unintended mechanics, which I can't wait to see. Every time, every edition, they're like, all that stuff we did before doesn't work. To use Anthony's thing, I don't know what GSC's faction identity is, and I don't think GW does either because it changes every book.
Yeah, I think they fucked that up. I think they have like a good idea and they got some cool models, and I think that's about as far as GW gets with GSC.
They're like big deep strike and something, lots of models, industrial, and it's just like a word cloud stapled to the wall, and they've got like the Charlie like red lines between everything. They're like, this connects to this and this, and then like the players look at them, they're like, oh, 3-inch deep strike. It's just like, no, you fucking morons.
Yeah, it's like talking to the stoner kid in high school about communism, It's like, he's like, yeah, the people, rattle guns, woo! Like, that's not all right. Whatever, man.
It's not a faction identity. Games Workshop. Come on, like you got to give them something.
Yeah, and then it cuts to that Games Workshop would be really disappointed if they could read. Anyway,
this edition means 9-inch deep strikes and bad melee. Interesting.
What I want them to do is take whoever made the cover art for the special edition GSC Codex and let him write the rules. Like, whoever that guy was, or girl, or whatever, whoever that person was, let them write just all the rules. They get the idea of what that should be to a T. That shit is sick. And every time I look at a GSC Codex, I want to dive out a window. So if we could get to somewhere between those 2 points, that would be great.
I love how, by comparison, the Sisters of Battle Codex Collector's Edition art is a Penitent Engine, which is not a Sisters unit.
Sick.
It is a Sisters unit.
It is cool,
it's just not a
but
sister.
it's just not a sister, which feels like the thing that should be on the Sisters Battle book. It's still cool.
It's the good part of Sisters.
Oh, that's brutal. That's rough, buddy.
Before Anthony gets canceled, let's.
I want to show
shit. That's all the cool parts of the faction. Although, like, redemption shit is sick.
This is an art podcast. An art podcast today.
Oh, are we going to share more art on our podcast about stats?
Excellent. I know, right?
It could have been a mortifier. You are correct, Willow. If it was a mortifier, that would have been better.
This
Oh,
dude
this-
It is
having the
rad.
Are
worst
those
time.
meaningfully different in some way? I don't know the difference between those two things.
A mortifier is a sister of battle strapped to a penitent engine. A penitent engine by itself has just some person being punished in it.
Ah, yeah. I was looking for mortifier then. You're right. That is lamer.
Yeah.
I love that this guy's just got a meat tenderizer and a dead space wolf. That's all I really want for Christmas.
Yeah, look at this. This is incredible. That's everything that faction should be.
That
It's just
is actually great.
the dumbest guy you know from high school on a mission with a hammer. Like,
Yeah,
what could you not want?
Yeah, he got scammed by an MLM, and now he's doing this. Look at
This
him
guy
go.
This guy joined the military. Like, we can tell.
Yeah.
Right?
Ain't no guard energy here, bro.
But-
This guy did
but Ennis-
steroids and fucked up the space empire. He knows what he's about. He's
yeah,
got two heads.
The key difference between a mortifier and a penitent engine is because it has the sister that is like, playing the role of a penitent. It even has, like, in the lore, they do really. I mean, sisters are already kind of fucked up, but the penitent engine especially. So the mortifier is like dude who like betrayed the emperor in some way, trying to redeem himself. Well, the other one is a sister who had already sworn her life, and for some reason she fell or whatever.
Changed her
And-
mind.
Too much to be a repentia as well. Like, there's already
Too much to be a
there's already
repentia
step
to the
there.
point where they are now hooking her up to a cranial harness that amplifies her self-loathing and hatred over what she's done, and she channels that into the machine.
See,
I will-
fine.
It's
I will
Team
say,
USA on
though-
day 2 of WTC 2022.
I will say though that the base codex art for the sisters book is choice, and the base codex art for the Genestealer Cult codex is kind of weird.
Dog shit.
Bad. I don't even remember what it is.
It's
That's
like the
Worse somehow. It's
It-
like the Primus from the last one, except even worse.
Oh, is he like super ripped? Is it Hot Primus?
No, it's like
It's
it looks
Hot
like
Primus
Fortnite
Summer.
PR. It looks
Everyone
like
gets
fucking, like,
rerolls
a
because they're trying to
Fortnite
impress dad.
He's trying to sell you like ebony codes in like the sidebar on YouTube.
Oh, he's one of those. No.
it's pretty
Could you-
bad.
Could you get those to me? My wife plays Ebony.
All right.
All right.
We,
What do we
do
have
we
on new
want to talk
missions?
about what very little we know about new missions?
They rewarded action in the Terraform card.
Which, thank God, we can find out what they actually do. But hopefully,
God.
they've actually written them very much tighter than they did in ninth.
Hey, can we just like not play with the gambits at WTC? That'd be hype. Those are fucking stupid.
They're not gambits; they're secret missions now.
Yeah,
so we can play
whatever.
without gambits. We're fine.
Yeah, we can play without those too. Holy shit, those things are dumb. Are you playing Eldar? Fuck primary. Just do whatever you want. Here you go, kid.
Just
So many of
table
those
them.
That doesn't even work.
Yes, it does.
You can table them down to one dude and they're like, blah, 20 primary. It's the worst.
That's not tabling.
It's stupid. It's dumb.
We wanna
Anthony,
talk a
every
little bit
mission is their
about-
priority targets. It's okay.
let's organize.
It's even
this
worse.
mission
It's so
slowly.
much worse than priority targets. At least you need 3 units to score on priority targets.
I'm just gonna start slipping secret mission cards into Anthony's deck when he plays WTC.
Yeah, everyone, if you we have the $15 Patreon tier. If you are on the $15 Patreon tier, Anthony will sign one of your secret mission cards if you meet him at a tournament.
I might also set it on fire after that.
That's fine. As long as you sign it first.
When you get to the table, what's going to happen is I'm going to roll a dice. And on a 1, 3, or 5, I set the card on fire.
No, 2,
Good
4,
luck.
6. Nothing happens.
2, 4, or 6, I'll sign it.
Ah.
I'll take those odds. I'll just bring like
50-50 is
a
not
stack
bad.
of 15 and just get them all done.
You just walk up to Anthony. He's got a lighter in one hand, a marker in the other, and the die just keeps rolling in front of him as he tries to figure out what to do.
I spin the dice with my mind.
I love it.
So, what do we actually have on the mission? So, why are secret missions like? So they previewed a couple of them, right? Let me go see. if
No,
I
they
can
previewed all 4.
All
They previewed
right.
all 4.
Ugh. This shit is bad for one reason primarily. And the easiest fix they could make to this is the minute you say, I'm doing that, you stop scoring other primary. The fact that you can wait till the end of the game and hoop a 15 on 5 and then score this on 5 as well is some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
That's-
the fundamental issue here, for anyone who's not aware, is that the way that they presented it is that when you do the secret missions, there's 2 criteria. First, end of battle round 3, same way as they did it, did Gambits, except you can only do a secret mission if you're behind in primary.
Damn it. I don't want to show that yet. That's for questions. That's for
No,
show.
I want Anthony to respond to that now.
We'll still ask it
No.
in show questions. It'll be perfect.
We're going to ask it in show questions.
So at about round 3, if you're behind in a primary, you can choose to do a secret mission. The old Gambit way, which no one ever understood, I had to explain it almost every single time someone wanted to do a Gambit at an event, is gone. You just choose one from the deck, place it face down, and say, that's my secret mission. And at the end of 5, if you achieve it, you reveal it. And so it caps your primary scoring at 20 points. But as Anthony said, notably, it doesn't cap your primary scoring after you've selected it. It's just you can score no more than 20 primary from the mission. And then if you complete the secret mission, you score an additional 20. So you can score 40 points on primary still, which is less than you could under Gambits, but they're considerably easier to achieve.
It's
Just
so
tell your
dumb.
opponent's Warlord, dude. It'll be fine.
It's so fucking bad for like teams specifically that it's infuriating. Like,
Well, just adapt.
what does that mean? Like,
Like,
are we going to reduce the
play
differential
the
for a
mission, bro.
20? Like,
I
what
mean,
is this?
That may actually end up happening.
Yeah, I think it's really stupid, and I think it's dumb that we're going to have to figure this out with like a fucking month to the event.
Yeah. I would say first time, but I know it's not yours.
It certainly isn't. That's what I'm saying. The easy thing.
I actually have one thing that I think is gonna be really interesting is the like doing the app scoring. It's gonna be really awkward if you have to like you hit that you're doing the mission and then your opponent has to see the score. You're like, you can't look at this bit of my screen that says what mission I'm doing.
Well, just don't put the mission down. Put the card face down.
Wait, what
But
if
if you're
you don't have
doing
cards?
the fucking
5 per score.
There is no way I'm playing against someone who uses the app to choose a secret mission, especially at the WTC.
Sure, but that's not everybody.
It's a reasonable request to make.
I agree, but
to go away from secret missions for just a second, and then we can go back to ranting about secret missions. It seems like GW is trying again to make battle line important as
Anthony,
well.
wouldn't you
Yes,
be super
yes,
happy
it
when
does
you
seem
get
that
aggro
way.
back and he scores you 50 primary.
even things I benefit from can be stupid. This happens regularly.
So I'll just run through them. So anyone who hasn't seen them, we'll run through what the secret missions are. So first one is Shatter Cohesion. And so all of these are scored at the end of the battle. So I'm not going to repeat that bit. So you score 20 VP if there are no units from your opponent's army on the battlefield at the end of the battle. Congratulations. Or if every unit from your opponent's army is on the battlefield meets one or more of the following conditions: battle shocked, below half strength, or more than 3 inches away from objective markers.
Yes.
Achievable, but also if you were behind on primary going into this, not always. If you're playing against a jail list and you know you're going to table at the end, this is a really good card to take. Then you have Unbroken Wall. You control 3 or more objective markers that are not within your deployment zone. That's doable on some missions. There are some missions where you cannot do that. Like if you're
I hope
playing.
the ritual's gone.
Oh, that'd be really. Yeah, yeah, but you're probably scoring more than 40 primary in the first place if you're playing Ritual.
No, against Wolf Show, you're not.
I was gonna say it depends entirely on the matchup.
Fair. Vital Ground, that gets really funny.
You probably
Yeah,
just-
Vital Ground,
you
that's
You can't do it at all.
You probably just
Or
don't
Scorched
pick
Earth
that.
for that
Your
matter.
objective, right?
You probably just don't pick that one, right? We pick these; they're not random. If they were random, we maybe have a different conversation. But
They don't have
Yeah.
to be in no man's land, Jeremy. So you can do the 2 neutrals on your opponent's home.
Yeah, sure.
Eldar,
Yeah, okay, yeah. Then you have Command Insertion. Your Warlord is within range of 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone that you control. Which,
I
isn't
don't
that
love
only
the
ever...
implication of that.
Yeah, the 1 or more makes me think that a certain mission is still around, which makes me really worried. God fucking damn it.
I hope it's just 7 different several skills variants and fucking Terraform. And then,
And then
priority.
finally, you have War of Attrition. 1 or more battle line units from your army are within your opponent's deployment zone, and one of the following conditions apply. There are no battle line units from your opponent's army on the battlefield, or every battle line unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield is within your deployment zone.
Interesting.
Basically, they never left home.
Oh, sure.
Now, these key off within, which is really, like, that's very much an Eldar favorite thing of, like, and Ranger. Or no, Rangers aren't battle line.
one
Guardians.
warps. Oh yeah, one Guardian poking in.
Liam
The
Gattel's gonna love
emphasis on
this.
battle line in this one card has me a little worried about what the missions are going to do with it, but
I actually don't think the battle line stuff is going to change list writing like just at all. And I think what's
Because
going to
battle
happen
line units
instead,
will remain good or bad.
I was just
for an
going to say,
army
what's
regardless.
going to happen instead is some armies will have good battle line and we'll be like, ah, sick. And armies with shit battle line will be like, unlucky anyway.
You
Yeah,
might.
I'm
like,
not gonna.
pick,
I'm not
like,
gonna take
marginal
intercessors
units
and
instead.
marines just because of this.
You should. They're fine.
They're okay.
I'll take assault intercessors because those are
Yeah,
battle
that's
line.
fine. They're still better than infiltrators. Fuck infiltrators. All my homies hate infiltrators.
Write
And
down
you get-
30 infiltrators in this list.
Yeah, you have less and less homies as weeks go on, homie.
That's fine. Fuck infiltrators. Terrible data sheet. They're also not battle line.
No, they're not. Yeah, so
Yeah, I don't like these. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they're very interesting. But
They just like it. It's stupid. It reads like someone who designs 40K is really bad at it. Got tired of losing by a lot.
I wanted to lose by a little.
Yeah.
They felt better
This
about
is the
close
advent of
losses
the
than
GW
big losses.
promised.
Yes.
Oh,
The
Spain
battle line
Celestine,
one.
don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Anthony
what
with
if all your opponent's full
workers
battles
is
with
what Red
battle is
Rum
OC 0
suggests.
for Vanguard?
Yeah, I realized that they did Vanguard, Scutari Vanguard are the only ones that reduce OC that don't have a caveat on it, as far as I can tell.
Spawn. Don't.
Spawner
Sure,
also
but
OC0.
Spawn are OC0, so
Yep. It's not very useful. But
at
you
least
don't.
at least Vanguard could flip an objective.
Yeah, I think the most fun thing is going to be here if you manage to like wrap your opponent's only battle line unit inside a transport for the entire game, and they can't get out, and therefore counts as not on the battlefield, so you get the 20 points.
Okay, that's pretty delicious. I love that.
I didn't kill them, but they were sure in that transport the entire game.
Yeah, the transport that they could have just done a desperate escape with and tried, the 60-40
Oh yeah,
of
you lose
getting
your
out.
20 primary points, so your opponent desperate escaping off of the Renegade Raider stratagem on turn 5, and desperate escaping it to get their unit on the battlefield.
Oh, God.
All right, let's do plugs. I've had enough of your bullshit.
No, the missions are going to be fun. I think it's going to be a very, very
It'll-
interesting.
If nothing else, it'll be a nice
Nope.
it'll be a nice change of pace.
I really
I
like
don't-
how they did this on the 15th of May and then said in a few months, and it's the 5th of June. We now have it in 2
Look,
weeks.
Warcom's not exactly good with time. We've been clear about that multiple times
That's
before.
true.
If they just
I-
waited like another week.
No, they would have been 2 more weeks.
I'm glad that they're making the change and that we're getting new missions. I just don't think this is the change necessarily that we wanted, but we also don't know yet. Maybe there's like a surprise in there and we'll be
Yeah, but they were like
pleasantly
never not gonna make the change, right? Like we're already getting new
Mhm.
missions. We should be happy that the new missions, the shit new missions are here because they're new. Like they're gonna be new. They're just shit also. Like what are we doing?
I mean, this is just the secret missions, though. Like the actual missions themselves could be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a really exciting way to score 50 on primary so your opponent can get 40 anyway, and it won't fucking matter. When you trivialize half the mission like thing, it
A
hurts
quarter.
the whole
A
format.
quarter
right?
of the mission.
No, it's half because you're trivializing scoring primary.
Yeah, but you're only trivializing scoring half of that primary. If you could trivially score 40 primary every game, that's a different question.
It's pretty fucking easy to figure out 20 on primary at some point. Because it's not capped. It doesn't matter when you score it. You 5-5-5-5 all the way down. Just hold your home field, bro.
It's true. It could be bad. It'll be especially bad in differential, like you said, Anthony.
Yeah, I think that's where it's at its worst. I don't think it'll be super fun in singles, where again, like some armies are just better at scoring secondaries than others, right? Like that just is a thing. Some armies have lots of trash, some armies have lots of fast trash, some armies are just naturally better at those things. The counterplay to that, previous to this, was the ability to suppress their primary, right? If that ability is no longer present, that hurts the ability of the game to be designed despite the asymmetrical nature of it, right? They're removing part of what makes 40K uniquely fun, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm still going to play it anyway. It's not going to fucking matter, but I'm going to be mad about it, that it's stupid and annoying.
All right. Innis plugs.
It's going to be interesting. Okay, thank you everybody for being with us so far for episode 94 Stat Check. I hope everybody is enjoying the show so far. If you're in a position to check out the YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/statcheck. You can see all of the back episodes for the show, as well as all the other shows on the network. That's Enter the Matrix, X and 1, Take All Comers, and Champions of 40k, all doing incredible things on the YouTube. You can see tons of stuff there. There should be, as we ramp up to WTC, even more coverage coming out of basically everybody, and X and 1 should be back from their hiatus around the time of WTC, based on my current understanding. You can also check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/statcheck. Patrons get access to a bunch of discount codes for Red Dragon, as well as access to our Discord, which has things like the Vibe Check League, just generally good interaction with a bunch of the best 40k players in the world. It's still insane to me how many just incredible players that are just like randomly talking all the time. It's quite funny and very odd. So yeah, please do check that out. We are currently running the budget, which is in like 92 players right now, and a 500 Canadian prize pool or something stupid like that. So yeah, check that out if that's something that interests you at all. Subject's brought to you by a bunch of incredible sponsors. We have Red Dragon, Red-Dragon Associé, which is Jeremy's local store. They do all your 40k needs, as well as various other stuff, board games, magic, all that general goodness. As I said, there is a discount code available to them for patrons if you sign up on Patreon, you'll get access to the discount code, which is 20% off. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so please do check that out. You can also check out Whale and Yutani. Link is in the description. StatCheck 5 gets you 5% off on basically anything you can want terrain-wise for WTC or GW stuff. They're a UK, Europe-based supplier, so if you're looking for trade in Europe, strongly recommend them. You can also check out Saltar Games on Etsy. StatCheck 15 gets you 15% off on widgets, tokens, measuring gauges, all that sort of thing. And then there's a new one who I forget again. Jeremy, you know the details on this one better than I do.
You're talking about Anthony from J15?
Anthony, yep.
Yeah, so J15 Games is a creator based out of California, I believe. He does a whole lot of really cool creations. The link is in the show notes. But basically, he does a lot of laser cut stuff, a lot of laser cut MDF. He does a really nice US Open, so like Leviathan style terrain set that is like you can either get it pre-painted or you can get it unpainted and paint it yourself. It's really nice. We have a 10% off code. I think it's just Stat Check. It's in the description. We have a few too many of these codes with names now, so I just put them all in the description and people can go off of that. He also makes the really cool blessing tracker for world leaders that Anthony has seen. I think you still use that, right?
Yep, I use that. I've bought them for people as gifts. It's the best 40k kit thing I have.
So if anyone hasn't seen it, go check it out on the website. But basically, it's just a really nice little laser cut painted red that has little slots for tracking each one of the blessings, and also tells you how you get each one of the blessings and what they give you. And it's a CP tracker on the side. It's just very nice, handy, compact, just super smooth. I'm going to be grabbing a couple sets of the US Open terrain up here so we can practice for World Champs, and also just start playing a little bit more of the GW layouts because it's nice to mess things up every now and then. And he also has a metric fuck ton of other really cool like gaming aids. They have the thing that actually attracted me in the first place is they have a nested set of measuring gauges that slot into each other and are held in place magnetically. So there's like a regular 1, 2, 3 combat gauge. There's a 2, 3, 6 aura gauge, and then there's a 9-inch deep strike gauge. Yeah, go check them out. And yes, Ben McYork
gets more details.
Yeah, Ben McYork points out they also have order widgets for guard. Any guard player who is currently playing without order tokens, go there right now because I will slap you if I see you playing without.
I assume they're just cheating and don't give them, like, if you don't have orders marked, you don't have orders, as far as I'm concerned. Those have a habit of changing when they're not marked. Cool. I think that's broadly it. Stat-check.com stat-check.com/coaching. If you're interested in getting help from either myself, Jeremy, Typhus, or Nicholas Olsen Johnson from Take Commerce, please do check that out. You can drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com, which for some reason is a tongue twister. If you're interested in getting help, especially as we move into a new opportunity, you want to have the best secret mission to pick in the best situation, we're here to help you. Yeah, check it out. That's all I got. Otherwise, we'll be here. We're gonna go into show questions. As always, if you want to get your questions answered on the show, you can either chuck them into chat and hope we like it. You can fire it in as a super chat, or you can be a member on Patreon. Patrons always get first priority. We will make sure we answer your questions unless they're really long and I want to go to bed, in which case we might just leave it because bad questions don't get answers.
People did a much better job this week.
That's good. I think people need to stop asking essay questions. That's the real one.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, take us away.
All right. Sam Lemon asks, how much of a competitive advantage is WTC having personnel with early access to content, and what can be or should be done to limit the competitive advantage?
If they would like to limit the competitive advantage, they could pay people a real fucking amount of money to not play and also playtest. And until Games Workshop wants to pony up some dollars, they're going to get either bad playtesters or competitors.
I think this is referring more to content creators than playtesters.
Same shit. If you would like your stuff previewed to build hype for it, pay people enough money that they won't use it for competitive purposes and that the amount of money is worth staying out of the competitive scene for. If not, suck it, G-Dub.
Anthony said last WTC that the teams who performed well wasn't a true representation of skill, but instead simply those who found the broken shit. Do the cast think this new mission pack and release of codices will show similar sentiment or not?
I think there's a lot of, that'll always be the case. It's like so long as we continue to do shit like this, where a new mission pack comes out a fucking month before the event, and we're all like, well, we can't play Oldhammer, we're going to get who found the shit that GW didn't catch. As long as we're like honest with ourselves that like GW doesn't create a very well balanced game on the first attempt. They just don't. And that's fine. It's just not a thing that happens. But it's a two-way street, right? You find the broken things by working really hard and doing a bunch of playing and practicing. I just wish that was a more like leveled playing field, and there didn't have to be issues like the first thing that go into the second thing. So yeah, it's frustrating. It's a thing I complain about a lot. I try to do it very vocally because I think it's fucking stupid that we're all just like, it's totally fine. Everybody had the same amount of access to this information, and like, in the same hand, we're like, we totally didn't find some broken shit that definitely isn't supposed to be there. Like, it's stupid, but it is what it is. It's what we've got, and it's what we continue to seem to go with, even though we know that it is what it is.
Yeah, Willow, to your point, like the points being absent blocks a little bit, but like seeing the new missions early, there's definitely an advantage to that. There's no denying that. How much the advantage is?
Derek asks, well, happy birthday, Jeremy! ! What's your favorite type of cake, or are you one of those anti-cake haters?
Just a nice, simple vanilla cake. Like, just keep it nice and simple. That or a really nice coffee cake.
Nice. In case it wasn't covered, how was the DreamHack event? Highs and lows. Any cool list tech or gameplay things show up?
I think we already covered that.
For what? I just missed the question.
Like DreamHack, we already talked about it. Was there anything interesting list-wise in there, or was it all pretty bog standard?
I think most of it was pretty boilerplate. Thomas Bird's Ultramarine Gladius list was fun.
Nice.
I don't know how it did, but it seemed cool.
Bird loves his Ultramarine, so that doesn't surprise me too much.
Yeah,
they are very nice.
Lennon plays a bunch of Ultramarine Gladius when like Art of War needs like this is a new book. Let's test it against like a fucking plays Warhammer army.
And then Derek's third question is, considering the current state of the game, is Death Guard or Imperial Guard a better pick for 5-man teams?
I would say Death Guard.
I would say Imperial Guard, but depends what the other 4 are.
Yeah, tough question. I think both of them seem fine. England played Death Guard. Ignite played Imperial Guard. Both got to the finals. I don't think there's a strong play whichever one you're better at and you enjoy more. I don't think you'll have much of a thing around it.
Yeah.
If you're playing Death Guard, you probably want to lean into playing, either like heavy vehicle skew or lots of pilgrims, depending on what your matrix needs. If you're playing Guard, you're probably bringing it to bring indirect, and you're bringing indirect to try to deal with something that the rest of your matrix struggles with. So I would have a look at what other armies you're struggling with, and then figure out if Death Guard or Imperial Guard plays better into that for your team, rather than just like YOLOing it based on the information. Because if your roster is like Thousand Suns, Blood Angels, etc., or if your team is Votan and Necrons, it's going to be very different for what you need out of a fifth list.
Yep.
Dan F asks, if you're playing a 10-man Warp Talon unit, do you start them on the board or do you rapid ingress them?
Depends on the matchup almost entirely.
Do they have indirect? Are you playing Renegade Raiders? And then there's about 4 other questions, but yes.
How much backfield scrutiny do they have? How much front feed scrutiny do they need? Do you have advanced and charge access? Like loads of factors go into this. They're good in both situations.
Nick asks, what's the best way to celebrate a birthday?
Apparently it's to go do your Nexus card interview. because it means you're in and out instantly because they're just like, oh, it's your birthday. We'll all your paperwork seems to be in order, sir. Well, good luck with the Americans on the other side.
Perfect. How do the 3 big Imperial Knight lists actually work?
I think this is the big 3 Imperial Knight list.
Big 3. I think 3 bigs. I think is what they're talking about. 3 big knights.
Yeah, it's like the Lance Arcanus Crusader list.
I would say they work sometimes, is how I would describe them.
Brian Jones has had remarkably consistent success with it until he ran into typhus.
Yeah. It's just like
It's true of most people.
that's probably the best way to describe that. Next question.
They 3-2 or 4-1 really well, Willow. This is true. Brian Jones did get best overall at Dallas with it. I think he went 7-1. It's a big old chunk of shooting and fairly efficient melee from Canis. Some armies can deal with that. Most armies can now.
John asks, so why does GW hate GSC?
I just, like you said, I don't think they have a good idea of what they want to be.
I think it's just like rank incompetence. I don't even think it's distaste. I think they just don't know what to do with it. So we get
It
this
depends.
like weird
If
jumble.
the person who wrote that book doesn't care about them, then that's what
I don't
happens.
even. Again, I don't think it's like malice or
No, but that's
any of that.
incompetence. Like that comes down to it. Like if not caring about it means that you've handed an author to it that isn't going to deliver.
Yeah, I just don't think there's anyone that's like an advocate for the book, like the army.
I think there's also a degree of it where they're an army with a very awkward, like I said, very weird faction identity, right? It's a deep striking army that wants to shoot and play lots of little idiots and also has melee. And inherently, like armies that are very heavily leaning on purely being a deep strike and infiltrate and like shenanigans army, it's hard to design for, and when you get it wrong, it breaks things. Every single instance I can think of with the GSC Codex has been at some point fucked because it just does its faction identity or like whatever the like design philosophy of that particular iteration of the rules has just been wildly overpowered in some context, and it's required changes. And then the kind of you get the thing of rather than like iterating on that design process and either like it's the if you can't be good, you have to be bad. If you can't be balanced, you have to be bad thing, right? That we often avow. Every time they write these rule set, it's too strong or it's unplayably weak. And it's difficult to find the happy medium with an army that's as volatile as Genestealer Cult. It has very little durability, very high damage output, very high shenanigans and mobility. And that is the kind of thing that when it is too good is way too good, as we have seen many a time. All the way going back to 7th edition, every single version of the GSC book, whether like we had the 7th edition rules, we had the 8th edition index, 8th edition codex, 9th edition, 10th edition index, and every single one of those 5 sets of rules has been completely different and completely divorced from the previous rules. There is nothing of 9th edition GSC and 10th edition GSC, and that means that they're not building on anything, right? You can see echoes of 9th edition World Eaters in 10th edition World Eaters. They're building on that design philosophy, trying to make it more interesting, more playable. Where GSC, it's like, well, that didn't work, I guess we'll try something else. And whether that's because there's nobody advocating for it because they can't get it right, or because it's just inherently not a very good design philosophy, I think it's difficult to know that without looking in. But it's just a very, very hard army it seems like it's just a hard army to get right. And that there's, it's not a super popular army. It's not a very like high play rate army. Maybe there's just not enough drive to like get it perfect, or maybe it's just really hard to, and it's from the outside looking in, and it just doesn't really work.
Right.
Yeah.
Dan F has 3 questions that I'm going to ignore, and then I'm going to go straight to Pius.
No, because this one is actually a good question.
Where are you getting your Pariah Nexus cards from?
So the reason that I'm bringing this up, yes, if they end up getting any stock of them. However, the reality is that there's a good chance that we end up with a Leviathan situation where cards are scant to come by at first. People create their own cards. My org at GW even does this. Like the U.S. events team, just give decks out at events at the beginning of the mission release. Like
use the app.
Yeah, but the app doesn't have the full text, which area denial is a problem for that.
It could this time. That would be an easy fix. I'm hoping speak to Goonhammer about that, and just if you find him for that.
If you can find a makerspace in your local, a lot of makerspaces have card printers and stuff like that, and you can print your own cards.
Yep.
Inevitably, somebody will release scans of them. You can go to one of those, have it printed even on cardstock, and then just have them printed, and then you just have to cut them out and like make them
Yeah, like
uniform.
go
and
with
you're
a bunch
done.
of friends. The text of the rules will be available. Someone in your community will have a deck that you can then transcribe the text for, and then go to your local print shop and run off a deck for $2.
Yep.
So it's not an impossible thing to solve. It also means you could do custom things.
I mean, if I was Goodhammer, this would be an incredibly good time to become a load-bearing app in the community. Just be like, hey, we have literally everything you need to play in full rules text, and then everybody starts using it, and then even when the decks are out, they just go with it, right? Because you're already doing it on Goodhammer. I would be very shocked if that wasn't a thing that would be smart to do for them here.
Yeah, the challenge with that always is you don't want to trigger GW's very aggressive IP lawyers.
That's probably fair.
All right. Pius has 3 questions. The first one of which is, do you guys think alcohol should be banned from all events attended by Liam VSL as a performance enhancing drug?
No, it's too funny. How else would people take shots out of him?
True. The next question is, Anthony, are Forge Fiends the new meta in World Eaters?
No,
Works really well into Blood Angels, apparently.
they help that matchup marginally.
And the final question is, Nathan, how's life? And life is fine. They gave us all raises.
That's cool.
Because they raised our minimum, which meant we all got raised to the minimum.
Oh, the worst feeling.
They're like, we're giving you a big old raise. So we're setting you all to the minimum and not giving you any experience-based raises.
Is this a good time for me to tell you to sell out again?
Yes.
You should do that. It seems smart.
I should.
It seems like you're getting fucking scammed.
Yeah. All right. Bryn asks, so other than that, though, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Did Anthony spray bottle Jack in Dallas for playing Forge Fiends?
I did not. They were there for a specific purpose, and it looked like they filled their purpose well.
And then, Anthony, do you have any CSM insights, or are we all locked down for WTC?
I mean, I don't really have any particular insights because I haven't played them a ton lately. Reavers is still very strong. The Soul Pact stuff is probably fun if you hate yourself.
That's true.
There you go, perfect. I don't really know much about like any of the other ones. I've just kind of been fucking around in Reavers. It's also really hard to get attached to a book that has work talents that are like that because I can't imagine they'll be staying like that.
Yep. Play War Talons while you can, guys. If they exist in this current state in a month's time, I'd be shocked.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like terribly, like, if it was like, it's not going to be exactly the same, but I don't think it's going to be like wildly different.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. The next question is from Luke G, which is, what do you think a base Space Marine's true power is? If the competitively focused players weren't allowed to use Blood Angels, Black Templars, etc., and just had the base Codex units and detachments, where would they rank?
I don't think that that's real.
Yeah, it's not a real thing.
And neither should you.
And also, like, if base Space Marines, do you mean no Torgarden, no Calgar, no Gilliman? None of the special units?
I think it's impossible to rate it. Like, people ostensibly move to the thing that they think is most powerful. Blood Angels are quite powerful, but also Space Marines have a base that's like cracked among supplements and like different publications over time. So like there are just a bunch of Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Black Templars players who exist in that space. And the core Space Marine Codex is ostensibly balanced in some fashion around all of that. And so if you strip all that out, the core codex would need to radically change in order to be a different power level entirely.
Stop trying to make base Space Marines happen. It's not a real army. Get over it.
I mean, you can play like Ultramarine Vanguard or Ultramarine Gladius if you want.
Sure, but that's not
real reasons to run them.
Right.
But that's not core Marines anymore. You're now still playing a chapter.
Exactly.
The next question is, Innes, what's your favorite and least favorite RuneScape skill to level after saying list building doesn't work that way last week?
I've never played RuneScape in my life, sorry.
He's too young to know what that is.
I know what RuneScape is, I've just never played it.
Too young to have played it, I think, is the accurate statement. Frank has
14, guys. Come on.
No, but it came out when I was in middle school.
Sure, which was what, 1932, but I forgot they had RuneScape on the
right.
Atari 2600.
The fact that you think that the Atari 2600 came out in 1932 is questionable.
All right.
Jeremy, I'm 12. How would I know anything?
It's true. He doesn't have object permanence yet, Jeremy.
It's true. Yeah, my frontal lobe is still developing.
Are we skipping the question that's about you, Jeremy? Is that what we're doing? Okay. Renegade Raiders appears to be the early contender for hottest CSM detachment. Do you think something will overtake once we get familiar with the book and new missions come out?
Maybe.
If I knew what the new missions were, I'd be happy to tell you. Unfortunately,
Renegade Raiders runs Battleline pretty well, so hard to be like upset about that. Maybe it doesn't table people fast enough to stop their warlord getting on your home objective.
I love this meta.
Frank asks, what kind of changes are you hoping for in the new mission pack?
Delete servo skulls, delete priority, delete vital.
I like vital. Fuck you.
Vital's boring.
Vital's fun. It's one of the more interesting ones.
It's not though.
It is.
Like, it's really not.
Now, we're just going to skip all of it because we talked about it for such a long time about the secret mission mechanic specifically. Oliver Johnson asks, question, can Votan land forts have good play on WTC boards, or do they just really get hurt by dense terrain and move blocked?
They're not really that big. I think they have fine play.
I feel like they would have a hard time getting around, but I don't know.
I've played them on enough WTC boards that they're fine. Like, they're a little awkward, but you got to plan it out. They're smaller than a Land Raider last I checked.
And so's the Lord of Skulls. Let's not use that as a metric.
No, but the Land Raider actually sees play without needing a supporting stratagem to move around the board.
The Lord of Skulls, like, is smaller than a Land Raider asterisk.
It is thinner and shorter than a Land Raider. It is not, or thinner and...
It's not shorter. It's also not, like...
It is, likewise.
It's a little shorter.
Both dimensions is like 0.5 millimeter shorter, but yeah.
It's a little bit smaller in both dimensions. Do you think that the stat check data set or the network of shows will ever expand to cover other games? Sigmar, Kill Team, Middle Earth, Strategy Battles game, I believe, is some strategy battle game. Yep. I think it's better to use the existing resources for some of these things. Age of Sigmar in particular has like some amazing stats people who already work on it.
Yeah, go check out Wohammer if you want to check out their stats. They actually reached out to me a little bit. Who?
Honest Wargamer also do a bunch of stuff with
Sigmar stats. I think Wohammer is the ones that's most updated, though.
Wohammer updates on a weekly basis. They also reached out to me recently to talk about how we do everything, and I pointed them to Cliff. So,
yep.
Who knows? Maybe Warhammer will have an AOS dashboard at some point.
I'm fairly certain Kill Team have something similar as well. I don't know who it is, but
they have something. But I also know that it's not updated nearly regularly enough. I was talking to Ben, the fellow that runs the Kill Team at the US Opens, and he was looking to do some of what we do with Kill Team because he found that there wasn't a huge, like, reliable source of information for them.
Yeah, the main thing is that all of us, like, we basically only play 40k as like a competitive outlet. I know like Anthony plays a bit of Sigmar and stuff like that on the side, but none of us are really particularly invested. So we don't we're not. We would need involved with people.
We would need hosts and data people and whatnot. That's the area that they're interested in.
Yeah, and those people are all already like anybody who is interested enough in doing that kind of thing is already doing it themselves in their community. Like, I don't think we can, like, we're not bringing any particularly, I'm sure we can do
unless they want to partner up with us for some reason. But again, there's some overlap in the interest in those people, obviously, because many people do play multiple systems, but we're not going to start that up.
For us, also, it's like we don't want to enter the space where there's already a dedicated creator who's doing a good job. There's like no reason to do that. Like no reason to expend resources when Wohammer and other folks are doing a great job already. The best we can do is try to provide them with like technical help, like Cliff is for them, to provide them with a better way of displaying their data, like what the dashboard is for 40K. Like, if anybody wants to talk to us about that, just reach out. We have an email address now that you can email us stats associated questions.
A1.
Yes. Nathan is talking specifically about the stats email that we created.
But hey, who wants to start Star Wars Legion podcast with me? I just need to figure out how to go to a tournament ever, and I'm down.
Here you go.
I should do that in Vegas instead of 40K.
Might be more fun. Who knows? Scott M asks, what should the GSC Army ability be?
So
Something the fuck else.
no. You can keep the cult ambush
Every
mechanic.
time. Something
However, you should give them cult points that they can use to respawn units instead. And what we can do is at the beginning of the game, you can say you start with this many, but you can gamble some of them by rolling d6. And if you fail whatever test that is, then you get less of them.
Dude, I did not go to accounting school on purpose. Why do they keep adding shit like this to this game?
Anthony, it's just luck dice.
GSC's
Ow.
army rule should be the Hypercrypt army rule, and Hypercrypt should have something the fuck else.
I think that GSC's army
actually-
rule should... I think GSC's army rule should change for each round of the event.
Jesus. You just use a
By the
different
5th
rule.
round is when you
Yeah,
get
that'd be
all of the
great.
benefits because the plan has come to
Yeah.
full fruition.
Mhm.
I love it.
But
I actually
unfortunately, for
enjoy that.
events that are more than 5 rounds, you
Lose.
lose all of your army rules after that.
You just
So-
get to play with data sheets.
Yeah, you better
You
be
play with
really
a Tyrannid
confident.
army.
You get to,
I mean, that's
you-
basically what
That's
happens
Chaos
when you
Knights,
play
isn't it?
GSC now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like you play GSC now, right? And you play your first 5 games, you play against somebody who's never played GSC before. Then round 6, you play against somebody who knows what they're doing, and you immediately lose, right? So that's
Yeah.
now.
That's fair.
Also, will Innis bring cake / baked goods to the GT at the end of the month?
Who are you?
Scott M.
Scott
since-
M. It's
and
still Scott
since
M.
Nathan forgot to say it.
I did say I would send you some GSC stuff that I never sent to you. So yes, I will bring some I will bring some cakes. Actually, maybe not because I'm staying with a friend for like 2 days before, and I might not have time. I will have a look and see what I can do timescale wise, because I don't want to bring like a week old stale cakes to an event. That feels rude.
Ben of the Vegas 501st says, describe your perfect cookie.
That's not the question. That was
Peanut butter cookies.
I like
Almost-
brown butter Oreo cookies with like the Oreo
Ooh,
chunks put into the brown butter
yeah.
cookie.
That does sound good.
The
Also
cosmic
good.
Oreos are actually really good, by the way.
Ideally, a cookie with no chocolate. That's my best space.
in my head. The like Subway white chocolate macadamia nut cookie that I had when I was like 12 is forever the high that I'm chasing with a cookie. But I don't know if it was actually good or if I was just 12.
And hungry.
Probably 12.
I actually do also like oatmeal cookies. I like them.
Well,
quite
those
a
are really
bit.
good. I've liked those since I was a little kid. More than chocolate chip cookies, actually, as well.
Just don't put raisins in them.
Note to
I will,
self, when
I will
bring
accept
Anthony baked
anything
goods,
else.
Don't bring him chocolate.
Yeah, just don't like chocolate.
All right. Goran asks, do you guys think the new slate will come with a new mission pack? Would be good for WTC, mix things up, make Team USA sweat a little.
God, I hope so.
Nope.
I would think so, because that's what they've historically done in the past. Where like back when we got Arcs of Omen, we got a slate that was designed to be played with Arcs of Omen, which led to the whole LVO 2023 fiasco. And then, same thing with actually pretty much every mission pack beforehand.
It'd be
Nephilim
so
did the
much
same
worse if they
thing.
were like in any way decoupled. If they could just be at the same time, that'd be great.
Yeah, it'd actually be really nice if we got one in June. Yes, that's only 2 months after the last one, but if we got one this month and then they went back to every 3 months or for points and every 6 months for slates, then we would actually get a slate in December, which would mean that we
That would
wouldn't
be
have
nice.
the question about LVO.
That'd be nice. It would also make the next one. It'd be September for the next one, which would be in time for which would be like if it started of the month, it'd be before LGT, which would be nice.
It would adjust to whatever broken shit we found at WTC.
Yeah, exactly. That would be cool. Like if it was, March.
It would also be
June,
like it would also be in time for
September,
Champs
yeah.
Cup if it was the beginning of September.
That would be cool as well. Yeah. I should really look at when Champs Cup is. I have no concept of when that event is.
September 21st and 22nd, I think.
It's not in my head. I promise
Yeah.
you, I will not remember that. I'm pretty
No,
sure
it's
that's the
fine.
week for LGT. That's fucking fantastic. I'm gonna die.
Just don't go to LGT, bro. It's fine.
But I'm staying with Brian, man. It's basically free.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next question is from Ivan C, which is best shoes to wear to GTs and RGTs.
Something with insoles.
If you think a dad would wear it,
New Balance.
Get gel insoles if you don't like the insoles in your shoes. We used to stand a lot for security purposes and like gel insoles are quite nice.
That tracks. That makes a lot of sense.
Knack asks, Jeremy, I've heard you vocalize a lack of trust in the battle app. Where does the strong aversion come from?
Man, talk about being taken out of context. I do not have aversion to the Battles app. I track every single one of my games in the Battles app. What I have an aversion to is people playing with cards where they don't show their opponent when they're drawing. So, like, for example, I'm playing on the app, and I just click twice, and then I show my opponent, this is what I grabbed. That's an issue to me. However, when you put it in front of them and click it twice, that's fine. It's just the be above reproach, and the secret mission kind of breaks that. Who knows? Maybe the Goonhammer guys are going to put together an update that'll make it so that you can secretly choose one, and then it locks in after you do that.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll never break. It's going to be fine.
This is why I actually carry an extra set of mission cards with like secondary cards with me. So if my opponent ever says, "Oh, I just use the app," do you mind if you just play with the cards? You can keep tracking the app all you want. Do you mind if you use the cards so that we have them in front of us? Also, because one of the big things, they did add app syncing. I've never used it, to be honest. But you know, I've seen this happen a lot. It's happened to me where if you're not using the cards in front of you, you forget what you're doing. Whereas you look down and go,
"Oh yeah." The app. I'm just like, "Oh yeah." End of my turn. I guess I'll see what cards I drew.
Strong Innis energy there.
The next question is from Kyle, which is, do you guys think GW writers have been punishing indexes that have been strong with the new dexes? I don't think that's how production timelines
So
work.
first things first, Kyle. No, wait. Kyle, first I'm going to call you out on the show. Respond to David Gaylord. He's pinged you twice about the your vibe check game. Go play him. Secondly, no, because Necrons fucking exist.
Outside of, Necrons weren't that crazy on release.
Did you play against 20 Lich Guard?
Yeah, not for very long. I was playing against CSM. I was playing as CSM.
Kyle's in chat and says he has in fact contacted David. All right. Good job, Kyle. One thing I'll say is that I think we tend to view like books as like items that come out like when just like come into existence
when the reality is there's like a 9 to 12 month lead time on all of these.
And so while you may think that GW is nerfing you with a codex, and that seems to be like a little bit of the philosophy of the edition so far, as that codexes are more side grady than upgrady, probably to keep some parity between indexes. Yeah, I know. Also some downgrady. Probably to keep a little bit of parity between having a lot more options with indexes which have no options. But most of the things are not responsive.
Their philosophy is the idea of that, all right, you get like 4 extra detachments or 3 extra detachments to play with, but you get to, your army is going to be slightly worse on the whole because you have those options and you can adapt. I don't necessarily think that's a good way to go about it, but if it prevents the codex creep that we saw in 9th, I'm all for it.
I actually would go back to the codex creep of 9th literally immediately over the idea that my codex would come out and I would be sad about it.
It's fair.
That shit sucks.
I think that's fair. I think there's like a middle ground between these two things and GW hasn't like figured it out.
Yeah, but if I have to pick, I'm going to go with the option that has me be excited for my book every time.
Mm-hmm. I do like what they've done with like the last few books. At least it seems very flavorful. Like Chaos is good. Yeah. I was thinking Custodies and not Custodies, but Orcs and Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, they did a decent job. I mean, CSM is fine.
Yeah, CSM is great.
CSM is like chosen in duct tape, but it's fine.
It wouldn't be the first or the last time it's something like that, though, either. All right. Yeah. Man, sometimes when I'm doing this, all right. Did we skip something? Where's that from?
It's at the very bottom.
Oh. I give up. It's just on the screen. Do you think model size and proportions are too heavily impacted by terrain? Yes.
What does this mean?
In terms of viability, like you don't play a Defiler because you can't move it around a WTC board.
I mean,
you don't play GW boards either. Come on, what the fuck?
You also don't play them because they're not good.
I was gonna say you don't play these models because they're bad, not because their data sheet's bad. Like the exact example is the Soul Grinder, and that's it.
And even that was still being played without a base. So
yeah, like.
I think it's Toxicreens, which have the giant ass tentacles.
But again,
but they're also
all right. So you want to play a Toxicreen? What does a Toxicreen do?
16
I didn't
attacks,
say I
82
wanted to
fucking
play a
one.
Toxicrene,
Exactly. It doesn't
but
do
I do think
anything.
it is an example of a model that has a hard time moving through terrain because of
But
its
it
giant
doesn't.
ass size.
It doesn't matter. I think if something is good, we'll figure out a way to move it around. And if it's
That's
bad,
fair.
it's probably just bad, and it's not that big of a deal. I feel like this is like one of the most wildly over-exaggerated downsides of WTC terrain. Because people are like, "Oh, you can't use big models." Like, yeah, bro, you can't use big models in regular games either because they fucking suck.
I
There
do
are
like that.
definitely. Sorry, go for it.
I was going to say I do like that Cliff is in our chat saying that we should let triple Tesseract vaults live because I agree with that statement.
No, fuck them.
Let the triple Tesseract vault
Hey,
live.
you can play it. It just won't be good, and that's fine
Yeah.
because the models themselves
Well,
aren't that good.
hold on. You're playing triple Tesseract vaults. You're there for fun anyway, right? You don't care if you win.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the problem?
At that point, you're not wrong.
Are you
I do
maybe
think you're
not there just for a good time? Hey, shut the fuck up and play the good stuff then. Entitled
fair
ass casual players.
All right. The next question from Eric is: how much do you think the super secrecy stuff teams do prior to WTC actually matters?
A
Mattered
lot.
last year.
Yeah, I'd have given my right arm to have Dark Angels over Deathwatch, and I'm sure a lot of teams would have been a lot happier with Guard on there. And
I
I'm
think
sure a bunch
Crossbell
of
would have
people
sold
were.
his firstborn son for that option.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were real sad they didn't end up with Orcs or Tyranids that could counter GSE. I think it matters a fucking lot, and I think that people that say it doesn't matter probably don't have a very good perspective because they don't play for a team.
Also,
Even Scotland shuts the fuck up. Come on, guys. What are you?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
also, the last question from Eric is just: I'm very proud of them for keeping to this bit as long as they have, which is who does Kyle need to ping regarding vibe check, which is David Gaylord. we've been real good for this bit, and I'm kind of enjoying it.
Good job, guys.
All right,
Nathan,
We're
read the
gonna-
spreadsheet. Oh no, there's fucking Discord.
no, we're gonna
Fucking chat
blast
questions.
through
Yeah.
YouTube questions very quickly. Thank you, Ben
Yep.
McJurk, for the birthday beer money for Jeremy. Ishik asks how much are you guys bribing to get good pairings?
Oh, we didn't even talk about pools.
No, we'll talk about pools next week because we'll have pools, more information.
We
Right?
can
We
talk
won't
about
have
pool
much
two.
more, but yes, we can talk about it. Seeding pools for WTC went live. Canada somehow ended up in pool 2, but I know how. We sucked last year.
Oh, I was like, somehow. Suddenly
No. I'm not. I am not.
I
I'm
know
not
exactly
denying it.
how.
The math said if we
pause.
split, if we made 2022 and 2023 equal, we were Austria and us flip spots, and I think it was Portugal and Latvia switch spots.
That was funny.
But yes,
They did say weighted average.
Yeah,
they
it is
didn't say
weighted.
what the weighting was. That's why.
It's like a
They did have
historical weighted
Deathwatch over
average.
Dark Angels,
It's
so-
fine. All right. How
That's
much are you
wise
guys
why you're
bribing
taking
though
it.
to get good pairings? Ishik wants to know.
I want Austria in our pot now because we need revenge.
I mean, I would do
You want to
some
lose
back.
round one?
I would do some back alley shit to have a pot of like us, Scotland, and Iceland, and take your pick on the rest. Like, I think that would be fucking sick. But you know,
All right.
I'm
Ben
just
McJurk.
manifesting Anthony in Belgium. Like, I want it so bad.
bring it, tall man. We have one too.
All right, Ben McJurk, thank you again for the $2 super chat, which it was the question: does Whataburger use too much mustard?
I did not get a burger. I got a fried chicken sandwich, and that shit was delicious. So no, they did not use too much of anything. They did a good job, especially for a fast food chain.
All right. Next question is from Jacob, which is Anthony with their first win rate at 7%. First week win rate at 7%. How long will you inevitably become the champ? How long until you become the champion of the Deceptors detachment?
If the internet can scrounge
Man.
together $2,000, I'll take the Scepters to a GT.
Wow.
Good
fair.
luck.
Jesus, that just retroactively killed all my hype for Deceptors. I enjoyed all the games I played with it, but now I didn't. Like, just 7%?
Yeah, that's a low,
Seven
low
was
win rate,
wrong.
bro.
Yeah, let's
that's-
look at it this way: if they're not going to get nerfed anytime soon.
That's not
Home-
true, because they're using the same date
Hey.
sheets everyone else is.
Yeah. The Scepters
I mean-
also get stickwork talents.
Dominic did just say only $2,000. Question
All right.
mark.
If you give me,
Alright.
if you hand me $2,000, I will figure out some form of GT to take them to.
All right. Paint Celestine says, can I use my miracle dice to get Anthony to sign my missions and apparently skip past the burning cards part?
If you actually
Yes.
take them out of your game that you are currently playing when I see you to do them, then yes.
Well, she can use all the 2s in her pool that are useless and otherwise.
You can only use the 6s.
Oh,
about
can I use the Dialogus and say
Oh,
I'm using it?
Nope. Dialogus is not the I'm not signing the card for the Dialogus, am I?
What if the Dialogus hands you the card?
true.
If you can get the Dialogus to hand me the card, then fucking fair enough, dude.
So what you're saying is that we show up dressed as a Dialogus.
Also acceptable.
Understandable. All right. Ashley Thompson's question is, Anthony, have you tried killing their stuff so they don't get to score 35 points on turn 5?
So I try this every game, and it's actually not an option right now, but I try really hard to make it so that it doesn't happen. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way.
The next question is from James Teal, which is, how much are Sororitas hurt by losing Crusaders and Death Cult Assassins?
I guess we'll fucking see once we have the rules.
Probably not at all. Like, if their rules don't change significantly, I don't think they're going to miss them, because a lot of Sisters lists were already moving away from them as they've been getting consecutive point hikes.
So I just opened the Discord, and the first response to you announcing what I said is Hadar with man cooks emoji.
Yeah.
And I've never been more immediately nervous about saying something like that. Because of all the people that I know, the person most likely to be like, damn, enjoy your shit GT is him.
The next question's from Nas, which is, which UK team is Scotland?
I said this was
four.
number 4. We were the fourth one to join. I'm pretty sure the Ireland's, or the Ireland, Wales, and England were there before us. So
The Irelands.
no, Ireland,
Plural?
just Northern Ireland.
Okay. I was going to say,
I think Ireland were there before us as well. But I think we were the last to join of the UK teams.
And even Wales was there before you? Dang.
I think so.
Oh yeah, it's England's B team.
We were England's C team at the time. Like not
Now you're their
there
D
was
team?
like one Scottish player for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Probably Coco has the last question, which is on an unrelated note. Has anyone... so this is something I want to talk about real quick about our gamer apparel company. So I have been talking to this gamers apparel company for a while about what the fuck is going on with all of the orders, because we also ordered stuff collectively as individuals, and I have not gotten a good response from them yet. And soon I am going to have only bad responses for them specifically. So if you've had an order and you've had problems with it, send me the order number for it, because I'm going to reach out again to their customer service staff and try to get this ironed out, because I guess apparently they are a very small company, but it's also getting kind of hard because their turnaround for responding to my requests for more information aren't very good. So there is apparel, Dominic. It's
Don't buy it quite yet.
Don't buy it at the moment until we kind of get this ironed out. We're going to get it figured out. I'm going to work with them a little bit more and try to figure out what's going on with existing orders and see if there's like a path to improvement. Otherwise, we're going to be changing companies. Is the disappointing... Yeah. And Cliff is like a lot more ready
considerably less diplomatic in chat right now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cliff is much less diplomatic than I am, which is fine. Me and Cliff have been handling this, and we've kind of been a little disappointed in the communication from them. And we're going to work it out. All right.
I keep half expecting Cliff to just blast into the fucking StreamYard and
like Kool-Aid man style, just through a wall.
Yeah.
I just want Anthony's little closet door to just open slowly as he's
that would
and
be
a
scary.
very tall black man emerges from it.
If I found out Cliff could teleport, I would not be surprised, but I would be afraid.
Yeah. Don't buy apparel right now. Get the Dyson objectives and stuff from Red Dragon if you want to support that.
Objective markers should be showing up at the Dragon very soon, as well as dice. We will definitely have all of them in time for WTC. So if you want to do orders and coordinate to pick up at WTC, let us know.
The exact quote, and we'll put this in the description of the episode, is to pause orders for this, because I've been trying to figure out if it was just us having problems or also our customers. And this tells me that also y'all in our patron space and people who consume our content are also having problems. So please let me know what the order number is through some means. You can put it in content discussion if you want, but please, you can also just send it to me via DM, and that's okay.
Yeah. Hog cranking dice. Go, 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 says Cliff.
Yep. Otherwise, yeah,
I
there's
need
plenty of other
exactly
ways
one
to
of them
buy.
in my collection, but I cannot possibly roll more than one of
Right.
them at a time.
I'm
It will be terminal.
I'm now going to do our Cult of the High Five callouts thing, and I'm going to use a spreadsheet. I'm going to force y'all to use the spreadsheet if you want to.
Only the spreadsheet gets read, as far as I'm
Yep.
concerned.
Unless you figure out a way to bribe me to make it different. But
You can pay
for now-
extra money to not do the spreadsheet.
yeah, you can pay extra money for me to not do the spreadsheet and just do whatever you yokels vote on in chat, I guess. Yes, yokels is what I'm going to say. All right. The people who are in the spreadsheet are the people who are going to get called out. Nobody else will get called out. Wow, there's somebody typing in it right now, which is amazing. So this, in case anybody's wondering, is for the $15 a month tier, which is the crisp high five tier. The things that you get are detailed in the tier. There's high fives at events, and a bunch of other stuff. Essentially, at this point, basically everybody from the Discord has personalized some kind of benefit you can get in person. And then the last benefit that you get is I will read out your name on air. And thank you, because it's amazing that you're willing to do this. Chris Irvine saying, well, if it means we aren't using the spreadsheet, you have to figure out what that amount is. Just because Innes is in here, I'm going to say thank you, Innes Wilson, because he's on the spreadsheet.
Someone added me against my will. I was not voted in. Out.
Thank you, Christopher, Dan F. Ayer, Irvine. Thank you, Willow Weeks. Thank you, Dan F. Thank you, Luke, Dan F. McCarthy. Thank you, David Clark. Thank you, Ayer. Thank you, James H. Thank you, Colton, Dan F. Miller. Thank you, Fungus. You didn't put it in the didn't put it in the call out name, so I'm not saying those Discord texts. And therefore we are hi Nathan, heart emoji. There you go. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. This has definitely been an episode. Bye-bye.
That's not what?
No, that's it. We're done.
No. Let him do his outro.
No.
No.
Nathan said goodbye. That's it. We're done.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.